Have you ever found your digital workspace just consumed by this tangled forest of terminal windows? Each one a critical remote connection,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're just battling mental fatigue trying to keep track. It feels like juggling, I don't know, a dozen live chainsaws. The cognitive load is just exhausting.
It really is. That's just the reality when you're managing complex systems,
Oh,
isn't it?
shit.
You're aiming for efficiency, but like half your brain power is just spent navigating your own desktop.
Exactly.
Keeping context across all those open sessions, it's a real bottleneck.
Absolutely. And that's precisely why today's deep dive is all about a tool designed to, well, cut through that complexity. SuperPuTTY.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission here is to distill the most important insights, the practical stuff, from our source material. Give you a shortcut to understanding how SuperPuTTY doesn't just manage remote servers. It really transforms your workflow. You get clarity, efficiency, where before it was just chaos.
Right. We're going to unpack how this tool literally takes that multi-window mess and turns it into this organized, tabbed interface. It makes managing remote systems not just efficient, but actually intuitive. Less error-prone, too.
Okay, so let's get into it then. We all know PuTTY, right? It's fundamental, the backbone for accessing Linux systems remotely for, well, ages.
It's classic, reliable.
Totally reliable, robust. But here's the thing. Once you start managing more than just a couple of connections, that single window approach, it becomes an absolute nightmare. You're constantly searching, clicking around, losing your place.
That's the exact pain point. SuperPuTTY just slices right through. It takes those separate PuTTY windows and pulls them together. Imagine managing, I don't know, dozens of SSH sessions, but all inside one single window.
Okay.
Each one neat in its own tab, just like your web browser. And the real power isn't just that it looks tidier. It's the huge drop in cognitive load.
Right, the mental energy.
Exactly. When you're not hunting for the right window, you can actually focus on the task, like diagnosing a server or deploying something. Fewer mistakes, faster problem solving.
I can totally relate to that mental overhead, yeah. So when we talk about SuperPuTTY, it's not actually replacing PuTTY itself, is it? It's more like a powerful layer on top.
That's right.
Our sources call it a wrapper. Can you maybe explain what that means for someone using it?
Yeah, think of it like this. SuperPuTTY isn't reinventing the connection part. It uses PuTTY's solid connection engine, the reliable bit, but adds this much better user interface over it.
Ah,
It brings in those key things like tabs, much better session management, built-in file transfers, all that good stuff. It's especially great if you connect to multiple servers all the time. Turns PuTTY into more of a proper workbench.
that makes perfect sense. So it boosts the functionality but keeps the core reliability. Let's talk specifics, though. Beyond just the tabbing, what are some other features that really make SuperPuTTY stand out? Maybe things that aren't immediately obvious?
Well, what's really compelling is the whole package. Yes, the multi-tab sessions are, the headline feature, a game changer.
Right.
But then you get integrated file transfers using SCP. So you're not firing up WinSCP or FileZilla just to move a quick config file or grab a log.
Handy.
Very handy. And little things like drag and drop for the tabs. Sounds small, but it makes organizing things on the fly super fluid. Plus, it's not just locked into PuTTY. It supports other tools too, like Kitty or Plank. Adds versatility.
Okay, you can see how all those features add up to a pretty big efficiency gain. Now, getting started with something powerful often sounds intimidating, but our sources suggest it's actually surprisingly easy.
It really is straightforward.
What's the process like?
So the main thing, the only real prerequisite, is you need PuTTY installed already. SuperPuTTY needs that for the actual connections.
Okay, makes sense.
Once PuTTY's there, you just download SuperPuTTY, run it, and basically point it to where your putty.exe file is located.
That's it.
That's pretty much it. The setup is remarkably simple. It just hooks in your existing PuTTY and you're basically ready to go.
Okay, the setup sounds easy. Now, the interface itself, beyond just looking better, how easy is it to actually, start a new connection and use the tool day to day?
Our sources describe it as really clear and efficient. You've got this panel on the left, usually where you manage all your save sessions. Easy to find things.
Right.
Then the big tabs across the top for switching between your live connections. And a toolbar for the common stuff, saving sessions, connecting, maybe changing the layout. The whole idea is quick access, fewer clicks, makes daily work much smoother.
Yeah, that definitely sounds more manageable than like 5 different PuTTY windows scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
So, okay, setting up a new connection, how does SuperPuTTY make that easier?
It's as simple as you'd hope, really. You click New, type in the server IP address, the port, your username, the usual stuff.
Standard info.
Exactly. But the real win is saving that session. Once it's saved, You just double-click it next time. No retyping credentials for servers you use all the time. Think about the time that saves over a week or a month.
Huge time saver. And once you are connected, it's just normal terminal stuff, right? All your usual Linux commands, cd to move around, lsol for files, cat to view them. They all work just the same inside the tab.
Precisely. You're not learning a new command set or anything. It's the same environment, just presented in a much better way. And those little power user tricks, shell shortcuts, they work great too.
Ah, okay. Like what?
Well, things like hitting tab for auto-completing file names or commands. That's huge for speed and reducing typos.
Essential.
Totally. Ctrl plus C to cancel a command that's running away.
Right.
Works as expected. Using clear to tidy up your screen. These become second nature, right? And they just work seamlessly in SuperPuTTY, making you more efficient.
That definitely underlines how it's built for people who spend a lot of time in terminals. And speaking of getting things done, file transfers. You mentioned SCP integration. Does that mean we can ditch separate FTP or SEP clients?
For many common tasks, yeah, absolutely. SuperPuTTY has built-in file transfer using SCP, the Secure Copy Protocol.
Nice.
You can push files to the server or pull files from the server right there within your session tab. Super practical for like uploading a new config file, grabbing some log files for analysis, downloading a backup maybe.
Okay, that's really useful.
Imagine you need to quickly send a small file to a remote path for someone else to look at. Just a couple of clicks, done, without leaving SuperPuTTY.
That level of integration, yeah, that makes a big difference in workflow. Okay, so for people who want to go beyond just the basics, really master SuperPuTTY, what are some best practices? How do you keep it efficient long term?
Good question. Organization is key, definitely. Our sources really stress using clear, consistent naming for your sessions, like prog web server 01 or DevDB replica, something meaningful.
Makes sense. Avoids confusion.
Exactly. And using the folders or groups feature to categorize sessions is crucial, maybe by environment development, staging, production, or by project or client. It keeps the list manageable and helps prevent connecting to the wrong server.
In there.
We all have. And probably the most important tip, back up your SuperPuTTY configuration regularly, your sessions, your layouts. It takes seconds, but it can save you hours of setup time if you move machines or something goes wrong.
Oh, absolutely vital advice. But, things do go wrong sometimes. When SuperPuTTY misbehaves, what are the common troubleshooting steps? Where should you look first?
Yeah, happens to the best of us. The absolute first check, and maybe the most common fix, is just verifying that the path to the PuTTY executable, PuTTY.exe, is set correctly in SuperPuTTY's options.
Ah, the simple things.
Often is. After that, if you can't connect, it's frequently network-related. Check firewall rules on your own machine, on the server, any network firewalls in between.
Standard network troubleshooting.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And if you're having trouble with SCP file transfers specifically, it often comes down to file permissions on the remote server. Does the user you're logged in as actually have rights to read or write that file or directory? These basic checks solve, I'd say, the vast majority of issues people run into.
Okay, great pointers. So, stepping back a bit, we started with this picture of, chaos, managing loads of remote connections, windows everywhere, mental overload.
A digital headache?
Exactly. What we've seen in this deep dive is how SuperPuTTY really takes that fragmented mess and turns it into something organized, intuitive, tabbed. It makes remote system management less daunting, more controlled, more efficient.
Definitely. This deep dive should give you that solid foundation to not just use SuperPuTTY, but to really start mastering it for how you work. It's genuinely about more than saving a few clicks. It's about getting back mental energy and cutting down frustration day to day.
So here's something to think about. Consider how adopting a single focused tool like SuperPuTTY for this specific task doesn't just tidy up your workflow right now, but could actually shift how you think about digital organization overall. Where else in your digital life could that kind of focused consolidation turn scattered effort into, well, streamlined efficiency?